Will you marry me? Yes, of course. My bride. Okay, maybe let's not do that. All right, let's not do that. That's a little weird. Stay hydrated, people. Welcome back to Zuko Builds. This week I'm working on a new joint called the Bridal Joint. It's a great way to strengthen your butt joints again, and it's essentially really similar to mortise and tenon. So this will be your mortise side, or the bride, for obvious reasons, and this will be the tenon, or the groom, for even more obvious reasons. It's a really simple joinery technique, but it's incredibly strong, and it looks cool once you actually apply finish. It's hard to see here, it's a little bright, but you'll see some close-up details. It's also almost like a box or a finger joint, but just with one finger joint, or one finger. But yeah, really cool, quick video today. This is gonna help you expand your joinery knowledge, so let's just hop right into it. Okay, for demonstration purposes, I just have these two pieces of scrap, and I'll go ahead and make the bridal joint with these two. So I'm just gonna take my measuring tape here, and I'll mark a line at 3/8 on one side. You can really make these any measurement you want, but this is what looks good for this width of material I'm using. And that'll give us the two lines. And all I'm gonna do is you can either take a marking gauge or a combination square. I'll use a marking gauge for now. Take the width or the thickness of the material you're using, set your gauge or combination square to that thickness, and I'll go ahead and make a line here. Let's see, maybe I'll use a combination square just so you guys can see it better with pencil. Like such. Then I'll just connect these two marks down to this line here, transfer it over the top so I can see it, and then down to the other side as well. I'll go ahead and do that for both sides, and I'll show you the next step. Alright, so as you can see, I have all my lines marked out, and they go across the top from face to face. And one of them is essentially going to be a finger, like a finger joint, and the other one is going to have a mortise to rest that finger in. So let's say we're going to hog out this one for the center, and then for this one we'll hog out the edges to give us that finger. And I should actually carry my mark over to the end. What's the wrong one? This one here. All the way to the edges, I mean. Then I'll take this over to the table saw, hog out the material in the middle. I always like to start with the mortise part of it because I can always fit the tenon to the mortise. It just makes it a lot easier. So I'll start by hogging out the middle, or the mortise, and then we'll move on to the finger part. Alright, you guys are probably thinking, well hey now, what's this contraption Zuko Builds got right here? This is just a tenoning jig. If you want a video on this, it's a really quick build, and it helps you make tenons, mortises and tenons. So I have my workpiece clamped to my jig, and I have the blade height set to the thickness of the material, which is this line here. And I'm just gonna press up the outside tooth to my furthest mark to the left, just right inside of that mark. Just like anything else, you want to cut on the inside of your line. Have that set, and then I'll go ahead and make my first pass, scoop my fence over, do the same thing for the other line, and then just hog out the material in the middle. So let's go ahead and do that. So now that we have our mortise cut out, or the bride cut out, I keep saying mortise and tenon or fingers, but we'll call it a bride and a groom for the male side. This will be the bride for obvious reasons. It's gonna be a lot easier to fit the tenon to this, so I'm gonna cut a little big to start. I'll be cutting outside of these lines here and test fit it. I'm sure it'll be too big, and slowly sneak up so that it's a nice snug fit. I forgot to mention that I am using dado blades just because they have a flat tooth grind. You can do this with a single blade. Just make sure it has a flat tooth so it's not leaving the little V's on the top of the cut. So I'll go ahead and start trimming this away until I have a nice and snug fit. So as you can see, this is way too loose, and if you look here, there's a big taper, and that's my own fault. I know I didn't check if this was square to the table. You want to just make sure that this is nice and square, not at an angle, so you're not cutting it at an angle. So I'll go ahead and remark the other side, and when I stand it up here, I'll make sure that it's nice and square to the table, and we should have a better result. This is way too loose. What a loose bride. Alright guys, so as you can see here, it's a nice, fairly snug fit. Just pops in together. You can clean it up a little bit with some sanding, but this looks really good. Took me a few tries to get it. The piece with my mortise wasn't lined up square to my table either, so I had to cut it on the other side, and that fits a lot better. So once you glue this thing up, it's really not going to go anywhere. There's a lot of surface area for the glue. I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, took me a few tries to get the fit just right. I wasn't keeping the workpiece square to my table saw, so make sure you're using a square when you're clamping it to the jig. And if you want to see a video on the jig, just let me know down in the comments below and I'll make it for you guys. It's a quick tenoning jig, super easy to build. But this is just a great way to strengthen your butt joints. I've always used pretty simple joinery for my builds, so I'm trying to expand my brain in that world, in that sense. But yeah, let me know what you guys want to see in the future, so I'm not just throwing random videos at you guys. I really want to hear what you guys want to see. That'll make me happy to build for you guys. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, check me out on Instagram at ZukoBuilds. I'll catch you guys next time.